You know that feeling when you can binge watch an entire Netflix series in one sitting, but can't stick to drinking 8 glasses of water for more than 2 days? Or when you set the exact same goal every January, only to completely forget about it by Valentine's Day? If you have ADHD, here's what's fascinating. So, right, there's actual neuroscience behind this maddening pattern. Your brain literally processes goals in a completely different way than neurotypical brains. And once you understand this difference, everything is about to click into place. Today, we're diving into 9 mind blowing ways ADHD brains handle goals that will finally explain why every productivity guru's advice has left you feeling like a failure. We're talking dopamine dysfunction, time blindness, and here's the kicker. Number 7 is the one that everyone gets completely backwards. It's actually your brain's hidden superpower, and most people don't realize they're fighting against their greatest strength. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly why your brain works the way it does, and more importantly, how to make it work for you instead of against you. Let's start with the big one that changes everything. Your ADHD brain is literally wired to crave immediate rewards over distant ones. Dr. Nora Volkov's research shows something incredible. ADHD brains have significantly lower dopamine receptor availability in key reward pathways, specifically in the caudate and putamen regions. That's the neurotransmitter responsible for motivation and reward processing, and it's functioning on a completely different operating system than neurotypical brains. Here's what's wild about this. While most brains can stay motivated by imagining future rewards, your brain often can't maintain motivation from the thought of achieving something 3 months from now. Picture this, you're trying to save money for a vacation next year. A neurotypical brain visualizes that beach and feels motivated to skip the daily coffee purchase. But your ADHD brain, it's literally screaming coffee now because it can only process the immediate reward of caffeine and warmth. And this is where it gets really interesting. This isn't a character flaw, it's pure neurobiology. The solution? Break your big goals into micro rewards you can celebrate daily, not monthly. Your brain needs that dopamine hit way more frequently than you think. Number 2 will completely reframe how you think about deadlines. ADHD brains experience something called time blindness, and it totally warps how you perceive goal timelines. Dr. Barkley's research on time perception in ADHD shows that people with ADHD consistently underestimate task duration compared to neurotypical controls. But here's the part that'll blow your mind. You also struggle to feel the urgency of future deadlines because your brain literally can't accurately gauge the passage of time. You know that panic when you suddenly realize a deadline is tomorrow and it still felt like next week? Picture this. You set a goal to write a report due in 2 weeks. Day 1 feels like forever. Day 10 still feels like plenty of time. Day 13 hits and bam, suddenly you're in full panic mode because your brain finally registers the deadline as real. This happens because the areas of your ADHD brain involved in time perception show different activity patterns. Most people don't realize that the solution isn't better time management. It's using external time anchors like visual calendars and breaking goals into daily actions instead of trusting your internal time sense. Here's something that'll make you feel so much better about yourself. Your working memory limitations make traditional goal setting frameworks nearly impossible to follow. Multiple studies suggest working memory differences in ADHD, with research indicating you can hold fewer pieces of information in mind simultaneously compared to neurotypical individuals. So when someone tells you to set SMART goals, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound, your brain literally blue screens trying to process all 5 criteria at once. Let's say you want to exercise more. A neurotypical person creates a goal like go to the gym for 45 minutes of cardio and strength training 3 times per week on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 6 p.m., tracking progress in a fitness app. Did your brain just shut down hearing that? That's exactly what I'm talking about. Instead, you need single focus goals like put on gym shoes after dinner or walk for 10 minutes. Here's what's fascinating. The magic happens when you chain these simple actions together, not when you try to hold complex multi-part goals in your head. Number 4 is absolutely fascinating. ADHD brains experience something called goal neglect, where you literally forget what you're supposed to be working toward even while you're doing it. Research by Dr. Chalice and others on executive function shows that people with ADHD demonstrate significantly more goal neglect in laboratory settings, essentially switching to irrelevant tasks without realizing their original intention has been abandoned. This happens because your brain's default mode network, the part that activates during daydreaming, is hyperactive and constantly pulling your attention away from your intended goals. Here's a scenario that'll sound painfully familiar. You sit down to work on your side business, but first you need to check one email. That email mentions a recipe, so you look it up. The recipe site has an article about nutrition, which reminds you that you need to meal prep. Suddenly, you're in the kitchen organizing spices, having completely forgotten about your business goal. And this is where it gets really interesting. This isn't procrastination, it's your brain's attention networks literally misfiring. The fix? Write your goal on a sticky note and put it where you can see it constantly. Your brain needs that external reminder because your internal GPS keeps getting hijacked. This one's a complete game changer. Your ADHD brain actually performs better with flexible deadlines than rigid ones. Sounds backwards, right? But research suggests that people with ADHD show increased stress responses and decreased task performance when faced with inflexible time constraints, compared to having built-in buffer periods. This is because ADHD brains need to account for hyperfocus sessions, executive dysfunction days, and the natural ebb and flow of attention. Think about a traditional goal like lose 20 pounds in 12 weeks. Your nervous system immediately feels trapped by that timeline. But what if you reframed it as lose 20 pounds in 12-16 weeks, with the understanding that some weeks might be maintenance weeks? Here's what's fascinating. Suddenly your nervous system relaxes, and paradoxically, you're more likely to succeed. The key is building flexibility into your timeline while still maintaining forward momentum. Most people don't realize that rigid deadlines actually work against ADHD brains, not for them. Here's something most people have no idea about. ADHD brains struggle with abstract goals, but absolutely excel with concrete, sensory-rich ones. Research indicates that people with ADHD have more difficulty creating and maintaining mental images of abstract concepts, but they respond incredibly well to specific, tangible targets. This is because ADHD brains are literally wired for novelty and stimulation. Instead of setting a goal like improve my career, your brain needs something like send 3 networking emails every Tuesday and Thursday using the templates in my phone while drinking my favorite coffee. The more sensory details you can attach to your goal, the better your brain can latch onto it. Colors, textures, sounds, tastes. These concrete elements give your ADHD brain something substantial to focus on, instead of trying to chase abstract concepts that feel like trying to grab smoke. If you've ever wondered why vision boards work for some people but not you, this is exactly why. Number 7 is the one everyone gets completely wrong. Your tendency to hyper-focus isn't a distraction from your goals. It's actually your secret weapon. Dr. Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi's research on flow states combined with ADHD studies shows something incredible. People with ADHD can achieve deep focus states more readily than neurotypical individuals when task conditions align with their brain's needs. The problem is that most goal-setting advice tries to fight against hyperfocus instead of harnessing it. Here's what's mind-blowing about this. When you're hyperfocused, your brain produces optimal levels of dopamine and norepinephrine, essentially giving you superhuman concentration abilities. The trick is designing your goals around these natural hyperfocus sessions rather than trying to force consistent daily progress. Instead of work on my novel for 30 minutes every day, try write whenever hyperfocus hits and aim for 3 sessions per week. You might write for 4 hours straight on Tuesday and nothing on Wednesday, and that's actually optimal for your brain. Most people don't realize they're fighting against their greatest strength. This one's absolutely crucial. ADHD brains need external accountability systems because your internal motivation regulation is completely unreliable. Research suggests that adults with ADHD show significantly improved goal completion rates when utilizing external accountability structures, with studies indicating substantial improvement compared to self-monitoring approaches alone. Think of it like this. Neurotypical brains have a reliable internal alarm clock for motivation. Your ADHD brain's alarm clock is broken. Sometimes it goes off at 2 a.m. with incredible energy. Sometimes it doesn't ring for days. External accountability acts like a backup alarm system. This could be a workout buddy, a body-doubling partner on video call, or even just texting someone your daily goal each morning. Here's what's fascinating. The key is making it social and immediate, not just a weekly check-in. Your brain needs that external structure because your internal motivation system runs on a completely different schedule. Here's the final piece that ties everything together. ADHD brains need to celebrate micro wins constantly, not just major milestones. Dr. Ned Hallowell's clinical research shows that people with ADHD require positive reinforcement significantly more frequently than neurotypical individuals to maintain motivation pathways. This is because your dopamine system needs regular refueling to keep your motivation engine running. Most people celebrate when they finish a marathon, but your brain needs to celebrate putting on your running shoes. Finished one paragraph of writing? Celebrate. Answered 3 emails? Celebrate. Made your bed? Absolutely celebrate. And this is where it gets really interesting. This isn't being extra. It's giving your brain the neurochemical fuel it needs to keep pursuing your bigger goals. The people who succeed with ADHD aren't the ones who push through without acknowledgement. They're the ones who become masters at recognizing and rewarding their own progress. Your brain is literally designed to need more frequent positive feedback. So there you have it, only the 9 ways your ADHD brain processes goals completely differently, and why understanding these differences is the key to finally achieving what you want. Here's the biggest takeaway. Stop trying to force your brain into neurotypical goal-setting boxes, and start designing systems that work with your unique wiring. If number 7 about hyperfocus really hit home for you, you're going to want to check out our next video on how to hack your ADHD hyperfocus for maximum productivity. Because once you learn to ride those waves instead of fighting them, you'll be absolutely unstoppable. Which of these 9 resonated most with you? Drop a comment below and let me know how you're going to start working with your brain instead of against it.